Okay, thank you. All right, being at 6 o'clock, we call this meeting to order. And since we have some new members on the board, I will do a roll call. So from my left, please.
Steve Baker.
John Skillings.
Larry Brown.
Mike Blue.
And Chairman Stan Nato. All right, at this point, we'll open to the public for a public comment. If there's anything that's not associated with the case we're going to hear tonight. Not hearing any, we'll close the public comment. And now we'll go to public hearing for case 2019-1 for a special exception from Article 3, Section 3.5, Table of Principal Uses, D, Retail Sales and Services. Applicant proposes to expand the existing by previous special exception approval on 9/27/2018 antique shop by opening the second floor area of an additional 950 square feet, which would give a grand total of approximately 1,910 square feet of retail at property located 1 Jug Hill Road, Milton Mills, in the commercial residential zone, map 9, lot 97. Owner and applicant is Chris and Michelle Penta. I'm assuming that's you two people?
Yes.
Okay. I think you're still familiar with how the process goes. So we're going to have you start. Do you have a copy of all your answers and everything that you submitted to the town?
No.
Okay. Well, I believe I have a copy here that I can share with you.
I can show this one.
I should have an extra one. You have it? Okay. So let me get that out so we're all on the same page. Everybody has that in front of them so that we can... everybody can follow along. I don't want anybody... Okay. Not on the same... Okay, so you have certain criteria that you need to meet, just like last time. And there's 5 of them. And the first criteria would be that the specific site is an appropriate location for the proposed use or structure. If you want to read your answer, I could, or you can, and then you can highlight any areas of your answer that you choose to.
Okay. We believe the site is appropriate for our business due to the location within Milton Mills community, the on-street parking availability, and the potential off-street parking pending highway department approval. We also believe the structure/location is a convenient location to locals as well as out-of-town customers due to its proximity to Route 16 and 125. The building location fits with traffic flow of the neighborhood. 3 customer cars will be the maximum during business hours. It is our belief that this business and its location fit the agenda of the master plan.
Thank you. Any questions from any of the board members?
Okay.
Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome back. Question. Pending Highway Department approval, which is what for what?
Didn't we get the highway department approval?
Was for the parking situation.
That's for the past parking situation.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's been approved.
Just for the board members, we do have notes from
Police
the
department.
town planner and the police department. We do not have nothing from the fire or the DPW.
Okay. So, can you, for this discussion, specify what the highway department wants for future parking to account for the additional square footage?
Well, it was our belief that the additional square footage will not bring other cars to the store, but it will bring up our average sale. Our goal is naturally going to increase our customer count, regardless if we have 1,000 or 2,000 square feet. So therefore, our mission is to increase our average sale and not our customer count, because regardless if we open the second floor, our customer count is naturally growing.
And see, what happens is when people come to the store, they don't realize the second floor. So it's not like we're going to actually get more people like, oh, the second floor is open. When people come in, apparently within the guidelines, if you have X amount of square footage, you have an approval for like the 1,000 square feet. But then if you open the other square footage, you need an additional parking amount of spaces. And what we're saying with the special approval is that people don't even realize that. Like, we don't get any more customers because we're opening the second floor.
Okay, that's That's where I am.
Okay.
For the additional square footage, by definition, it requires additional parking. I drove past and looked in. Who owns that hip-roofed building with picture window?
That's owned by the Albert Family Trust.
That's owned by the family trust. And how close is that to your, I'll call it north property edge?
It's within 2 feet of my property line.
Where that truck is, like where you see on there, it looks like it's on their, that's all ours. So their van is actually on our property. So we do have like that amount of space.
Okay, I'm sorry, if I may, the 2 feet, it's 2 feet from the edge of that hip-roofed building is
Correct.
the property line, not 2 feet from the back of your property.
No, from the
So-
hip roof building. So basically, I don't know if you saw, there's an RV, a small
Right.
truck. That's owned by the Albert Family Trust. That's actually on our property. So in the future, we have the ability, if need be, to pull vehicles off
Right, that's a
into that side lot.
fine
We've
elderly
seen a brand
Toyota.
new fire escape.
So have you discussed with the highway department getting parking behind, on the north side of your building, between the edge of Albert's building and yours? That's where you would seem to be able to drive in and come out. So
Well,
have
there
we-
would be, I have discussed it with Pat Smith, and it would be, we would have to remove the curbing to pull the cars in.
So, I'm sorry, then it is fair to say that additional parking, comma, when necessary, comma, would
Correct.
be
Yeah.
on the north side of your building,
Yes.
within your property line, and a curb cut being a local street would not be a problem.
Right.
Right.
Okay,
I gotta stop the board here for a second. Something new to the whole board, but we need to discuss if this is a regional impact. I should have done that prior to starting this, so I gotta put this on pause for a second. This is something new to the board, that one case last year, we discovered that we needed to do this. So, does anyone have any feeling or discussion of whether or not this is a regional impact issue?
having jumped ahead of the chair and not giving him a chance to cover the regional impact, I would say no, it does not have a regional impact.
Anyone else?
I can't see that it would. I would think if anything, brings more clientele to the area, more revenue for these folks, all a positive from my perspective.
Because this is something we have to address in every
Right.
case
Yeah, I
from now
understand.
on. Okay, so let's take a vote that, someone make a motion that this is not a regional impact on, would not be,
I would move that the request does not have any regional impact, and I would vote as a result, no on the subject of
Second.
regional impact.
so just to make clear, your motion is that it's not a regional impact, so you should be voting yes to agree with you,
Right. Okay.
all right?
It's not.
And I need a second to the motion.
Larry,
Second.
All right, so all in favor that this is not a regional impact? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? So it's been determined that this is not a regional impact. My apologies, it's new to
Gotta
me.
be in there.
You're forgiven, Stan.
All right, I'll try not to let it happen again, but I thought of it and I had to stop. Okay, now let's continue, please.
Okay.
One more.
Yes,
What part of the agenda of the master plan did you have in mind? The preservation of local compact residential areas?
Yes, and just the idea of like the master plan, just the nature of the vision of the community.
Thank you.
anyone else like to discuss or have any questions? Or
Mr. Chairman,
Mr.
Sure.
Boyle?
so hearing both sides, Mr. Brown has expressed concerns about additional parking, street space and that, but I also heard on your side that you don't anticipate that, as you had said, and I quote, "Whoa, you have the second floor open?" So you're not anticipating a great deal, or if any, additional.
But we are anticipating additional revenue, because the more merchandise you have, the more money people will spend. So we are anticipating that. However, when people see the building and they don't realize like that the second floor isn't open, so it's not, I think that people that have been through the building might come back and check it out, but it doesn't make a huge difference in regards to the cars that will be out front. Like, we don't anticipate more I think there'll be more cars possibly in the summer driving by, but I don't think that that's gonna be because the second floor is open.
No.
So you just answered my question.
I was gonna wait until the end to read these two that I have, but maybe now's the appropriate time. From the police, in regards to this, it says, no comments on opening second floor. From the town planner, it says, town planner suggests that there is no need for submittal of either previous or new site plan, as the owner is not changing anything outside on the property. Should ZBA grant special exemptions, suggested conditions are that the owner do all items on fire chief's punch list prior to opening upstairs, receiving certificate of occupancy, and going to the planning board for a site plan determination. Again, I do not have nothing from the DPW, I do not have nothing from the fire department.
And we have, I think, we put in a $6,000 fire escape, even though we had one and apparently it wasn't up to snuff. So we put in a $6,000 fire escape. We put in
Emergency lighting has been
emergency
installed.
lighting
Okay.
Under what direction?
of the fire chief.
Fire
chief,
chief, so
yeah.
there was input from the fire.
Yeah,
chief.
But there'll be an additional impact. The fire chief will have, because I remember from the original application, the fire chief stated that if it was the second floor was open, there would be additional
Right.
requirements.
Yeah.
And we
that
have
was the
met with
fire
Nick,
escape.
and he's given us a punch list, and we've already completed everything on his punch list.
Okay, so that's basically,
Yeah.
well, if, I'm assuming that if this goes through tonight, then that will be part of our decision, that all these things are met
Mhm.
prior to
Right.
you having your, being able to do it. Anyone else?
I got a question. We haven't heard from any abutters that there's an issue with this?
I have no letters from abutters at all. I will say that the last time, there was overwhelming support.
Yeah.
I don't believe there was anyone that had a letter or anything in the negative side of the issue.
Yeah.
In
Okay.
fact, all of our neighbors have been
There's all their
incredibly
butters.
positive. People come by, every day that we're open. Like this Saturday, we're hosting the trash pickup in the community. Like, people have been remarkably, very
Supportive.
positive. Like, there hasn't been any
Okay.
negative feedback
Okay.
whatsoever.
Anyone else have anything to ask or state, or?
All right, one last question, just curious. Assuming things go fabulously well, do you anticipate any parking issues with, people not being able to get into the store, or, people having to park on somebody's lawn to get into your store? Okay.
No, I think in the last couple of weeks, if anybody's driven by on a Saturday, it has been busy. I know the chief has driven by, and it's kind of, made me laugh a little bit. There's been cars gonna park naturally where they wanna go.
Yeah.
I have 4 spots in the front of the building, and I'll watch people come down Main Street, take a left onto Church, and park on the side. There's no parking limitations in
Yeah.
Right,
Milton
in
Mills,
that
and I
area
understand the
especially.
chief's concern. And again, like I said earlier, like naturally, whether we have 2 floors or 1, our business is gonna expand. If we decide to keep our building to 960 square feet and keep to the permitted 250 square feet for one car, naturally, we're gonna fill those 4 spots, and it's still gonna fill the other areas, the other.
But we had also.
Excuse me,
talked
ma'am,
to-
can you sign in,
Yep.
please?
We had also talked to the church, and at first they were kind of nervous, and then when they came to the planning meeting, they said to us, we want you to know that if there was any overflow.
Okay,
you know,
but that's hearsay, so we really can't take that in. Unless I had a letter in front of us, or they were here saying it, I really can't let that enter.
Sure.
Okay, as before, I don't believe the board chose to make any changes. We do our straw vote on each criteria, and then at the end, there'll be an final vote.
Yep.
So we'll take a straw vote on, need a motion for someone to approve, or just whichever one, whoever want to make a motion on this straw vote.
I move we take a straw vote on item 1 that it is an appropriate location, and we vote in the affirmative.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Did you have a discussion?
No.
Any opposed? So it's unanimous. 5-0. Okay, number 2.
The property will.
Well, let me ask the question
Okay,
first, please.
sure.
The use will not be injurious, noxious, offensive, or detrimental to the neighborhood.
All right, the property will be maintained and repaired as needed to be sure it is a very safe environment for our customers. We will be selling antique home furnishings and will not be providing any material or services that may be deemed noxious, offensive, or detrimental to the surrounding community. We will be restoring the building and painting the outside, so we feel our neighbors will be quite happy with our appearance and presence. And that's been completed. If you drive by, you'll see it. You know, there was graffiti on the building prior, and we have cleaned that.
I've seen it.
the entire building.
Anyone have any questions, comments?
Is there handicap access there? And Bruce, you may correct me, because it's not a government agency, so not required to have handicap
There is a
accessibility.
There is a ramp.
Yeah.
Is there handicap access to the second floor, though?
No.
Businesses open to the public are required by the American Disabilities Act to have the right number of handicap spaces for,
Is that right?
for the square footage of their mercantile business.
I see.
And that's all gonna be on the punch list from, that they need to fill,
Yep.
I would assume.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any questions, statements, anything that else you'd like to say? Or I see someone's in the public. Would you like to comment on anything? Or
Not yet.
okay, please raise your hand, and if you do, please state your name
Thank you.
and address. All right. With that said, I'll entertain a motion from someone.
I move we take a straw vote in the affirmative on item number 2, that the site will not be injurious, noxious, offensive, or detrimental to the neighborhood.
Second.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So that's unanimous, 5-0. So. Number 3, that there will be no undue nuisance or serious hazard to pedestrians or vehicular traffic, including the location and design of access ways and off-street parking.
The building has been used in past years as a function hall and meeting place. We will keep all walkways and access points to the building, and there is also ample street parking on both sides of the building so that our customers won't have to cross the street. I personally will ensure that all vehicles will be parked legally and not block any sidewalks or throughways. Loading and unloading of furniture can be done on the side of the building, Church Street, with the use of a handicap ramp and eliminating the need to carry down any stairs, as well as not to interfere with the main access to the building.
Questions or statements? Anyone? Mr. Brown?
Just for clarity, the access way to the street involving future parking lot development will be as required by DPW and the police. And secondly, at this time, there is no parking restriction to any vehicle parked along what I call the east-west street, not Jug Hill, what's it called?
Church Street.
Along Church Street, that would prevent you from unloading or parking a delivery truck there, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay, with that, well, no, not said. Someone want to make a motion on this?
On the straw vote,
Please.
I move that criteria number 3 has been met, that there will be no undue nuisance or serious hazard to pedestrians, blah, 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 parking.
Second,
Second it.
blah, blah, blah.
All of it.
That was for Sherry.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Again, Cherry, 5-0. Number 4, that adequate and appropriate facilities and utilities will be provided to ensure the proper operation of the proposed use and structure so that the use will not be contrary to the public health, safety, or welfare.
We will be compliant to all codes pertaining to our occupancy. We will maintain the building to be sure there will be no injury to our customers, ourselves, or the neighboring community. We will also provide all necessary fire, safety, and first aid kits visible and available to our customers or anyone else that enters our shop. We will not be using paints, cleaners, or any toxic chemicals in the building. We will not be using power tools or machinery in the building. We will not have a forklift or any other gas-powered machinery on site.
Any questions or comments? None? Well, okay, we're not hearing any. I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we accept that adequate and appropriate facilities will be provided, and it meets criteria 4.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 5-0, Sherry. Number 5, that the proposed use or structure is consistent with the spirit of this ordinance and the intent of the master plan.
We believe that the proposed changes to the structure will not only meet but will exceed the expectations of the master plan. Our mission and purpose is to provide help and to develop, help and maintain the town of Milton Mills to be a classic New England village as set forth in the plan. We will follow all codes and ordinances in place and do our part to keep this small town charm and feel. This is why we chose Milton Mills as our home and a place to start our business. Our building is currently zoned as commercial / residential with all other retail trade that is currently permitted. We believe that retail sales and services should be permitted into the CR zoning district.
Any questions or statements?
So as I drove by there, and I'm familiar with Milton Mills in that area, am I mistaken, or is your direct competition right across the street?
He passed away in April.
Oh,
It's
did
no
he?
longer open.
Well, we
Oh,
would
okay.
love that.
And I would bring on that competition.
We would love
it if
Strength in
somebody's
numbers.
Yeah, because
absolutely.
I'd seen it was closed for the season with no data.
Yeah, he passed
Well, I
away
guess
last
He's
year.
no
that's-
longer with us and the building's for sale.
Yeah.
Yeah, so God bless him, so, thank you.
Are the
Any-
materials still inside? Did he leave it sort of?
He had a last auction, like last year, right
Okay.
before he passed away, and he was selling like some of his personal items, and so there's a few things. I actually bought a couple of jewelry cases from his family and promised like I would keep them in the neighborhood.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else?
I'm just curious because I'm interested in everyone succeeding in the area to bring in more people. Didn't the downtown, right down the street here, didn't they have a kind of a shop that just
Looking
went out of
Glass.
business again? or-
But that was a different setup. That was
Was it a different
donations
kind of
for,
business?
Yeah.
that was donations for the needy and so
Oh,
forth.
prior-
like, right?
Prior to that, there was Looking Glass.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
And
they had some.
And
I
then-
would
Some
say,
antiques.
our shop is, I've never been to Res, I
Yeah.
have driven by it, but our shop is quite unique, and one of the things we weren't anticipating is how many local crafters we have and really creative items. So we welcomed people in the community to bring their items in, that we sell them for consignment, so we
Yeah.
probably have, several people that have unique antique items that they can bring in, and we'll sell them for them, and people that just make some really interesting items. So it's, I think our store is unique. We've had people that have been in the antique business for years and say that we're one of the best stores in New Hampshire. So if you guys haven't been by, you must come.
Yeah.
I'm just
Okay,
gonna recommend a site visit at our leisure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is an
Um,
amazing
Trash
store.
pickup, trash pickup on Saturday.
Good.
okay, anything else from the board? Okay, for the public,
So my
please stand and say your name, please.
My name is Amy Mann. I live on Ford Farm Road in Milton, and I frequent Binker Brothers quite often. And every time I'm in there, it is different things that are in there. Everything they have is beautiful. They have high standards, so they don't just take any random things. They're fairly priced with things, and they have the most creative eyes of two people I've ever met. The things that they can create is just mind blowing. So I really do, and I talk this business up a lot. If you haven't been in there, I suggest everybody goes in. I think you'll be totally impressed, and it
Binker
changes.
Brothers.
Like I said, I'm probably in there every Saturday and Sunday, and every time I go in, there's something different
Very
and
high
something
end.
new.
Yeah, so it's fair to say you're in support of this?
I am so in support of Binker Brothers.
We just wanted to make sure that was clear.
Yes, I'm very supportive of this business. I just think they are bringing so much to the community, and they are bringing what we would want to
Okay.
represent. They're dedicated to the community, they're dedicated to their store, they're dedicated to their customers. I did have the honor of watching the store for them when they were out of town, and people were, like, it made me feel bad, but people were so sad not to see Chris and Michelle in the store because they just create this welcoming environment. And so I just really think that everything that they do is always in the best interest of Milton and Milton Hills
All
community.
right, thank you for your input. I guess unless there's more discussion,
Yeah, two things. One, a joke. The methyl chloride I can understand, but not even an almond stick?
The what?
Methyl chloride I can understand, that's the vicious stripper.
Okay.
But not even an almond stick? No. Okay.
He's allergic.
To chloride or the almond stick?
The almond.
Serious question. And I voted on number 4 just for the straw vote, just for general goodwill. What are you going to do? Are you eligible for any historic building exemption in terms of the second floor? Can you arrange for a virtual tour for those people who cannot get access to the second floor? Are you thinking video? What hammer might you face in the future that could lock you out from the second floor retail sales?
They are eligible for the
And Bru-
79.
Mr. Woodruff, town planner.
Which is the Community Revitalization Act that the town, at town meeting just voted in, and the Board of Selectmen approved all of the materials and the application forms at their last meeting. So that's a local tax relief that could be used by the owners to, if they were to improve the building. If they improve the building, the amount of tax assessment of the improvements can be taken away for 5 years or more by the town with a successful application for 79E.
thank you. Okay, anything else? Then I'll entertain a motion, Mr. Brown?
That you want to make a formal motion for each one of the 5, or do you want?
This is for number 5 straw.
For number.
Yeah.
Oh.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
I'm on a roll. I move that the board agree that the proposed use or structure is consistent with the spirit of the ordinance and the intent of the master plan.
Second? Oh, did you have more?
Item 5.
Okay, any,
I'll
second?
second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, at this point, I was gonna ask the town planner, Bruce Woodruff, if he had any input, but,
It's written right there.
right, but I didn't know if you had any other input you'd like to mention or anything. No, so he's all set. So at this point, we will do a overall vote for the whole application. If it's approved, remember there's 30 days that someone can appeal. A lot of times everybody gets excited and they walk out before they hear that from us, so I like to say it before. So, at this point in time, I'll entertain a motion for approval or disapproval of the application as a whole.
So I'll make that motion to accept the application.
Second, Mr. Brown, or is that discussion?
A second for discussion. And I suggest that we ask the town planner for his review and the addition of any formal conditions that should be put on the application, or whether or not the town planner believes that those conditions will be automatically set by planning board review.
No, I think that one of the conditions that I have suggested in my recommendation to the board that was in writing stated that one of the conditions in granting the special exception should be that the punch list developed by the fire chief be accomplished and prior to the certificate of occupancy, but that also the applicant must go to the planning board for site plan determination.
So we want to make that part of your motion, Mr. Bujo?
Yes, Mr.
I
yes,
make
Mr. Chairman.
that part of my second.
Okay, so do you have that, Sherry?
Could not hear, I'm sorry.
Okay, I will find it here again. It's on, I put it away, I shouldn't have. But,
provide me with that.
Do you want to see it in writing?
Yes.
Yes,
It makes
please.
it easier for me to
Okay, so that's,
put in here because of,
everything on this is going to be part of this motion. So if it's approved, it's with those requirements. Any other discussion? With none, I will take a vote. From my left, please.
I vote accepting the motion.
Yes, okay?
Yes.
I vote yes.
Yes.
Brown?
In favor, yeah.
And the chairman votes yes. So it's approved. Again, I will tell you 30 days that, someone has the right to appeal this, so I wouldn't, plus you have other things you need to do because you heard what's in the approval. All right?
Mhm.
Any questions?
Nope.
Okay.
I think, isn't there,
Congratulations.
Thank you.
somewhere there's, I can't remember, it's probably written down, that the conditions of approval carry forward for 2 years, and if nothing happens in 2 years, hasta la vista, which is the old zoning board phrase.
Thank you.
Sure, they'll hop right on it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is discussion,
Thank you.
status of alternates. Last year we had 2 alternates. One is now a seeing selectman. I believe he has no wish to remain as an alternate. So, and that's not really in our best interest to have him as an alternate.
He got his mileage.
All right. Second alternate, I have not talked to. He's, Mr. Jacobs. I don't know if anyone's seen him, but do we want to pursue Mr. Jacobs for an alternate? We should have alternates. As you saw that big case, we needed them. So we got to decide what we want to do. We want to pursue, put a ad up
think we should.
stating for the
This is
town advertise.
Christopher Jacobs?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
I think personally that we should put an advertisement saying we're accepting applications for alternates, and more the merrier.
I agree.
And Chris was particularly useful in reviewing the drainage plans for Mighty Joe. And I believe he noticed that when it's coming in at 3 feet high and going out at 4 feet high, it's probably not going out.
Okay, so that's what we'll do. We'll ask the town, the selectmen, to post that this board is in need of alternates.
Yep.
Agreed?
Yep.
Okay. Review, I gave everyone the bylaws. You also sent them by way of email. We voted in at the last meeting the existing bylaws. I would like to have everybody look at the bylaws at the next meeting, that we'll go over them. If there is to be any changes, we'll vote them in if agreed upon. If not, we'll stay with the same bylaws. But we do legitimately have bylaws. Those are our bylaws as of right now. If you take your time, go through them. If you feel that there's something you don't like or you'd like to discuss, and you get the support of 2 other members, then it'll be changed. So, okay? Anything else on that bylaws? Anyone want to talk about that? Okay. Approval of minutes. We have 2 minutes, 2 dates. October 25th.
March.
Yep, October 25th minutes. Let's see here. You weren't on the board.
No.
Steve was, and I
was
wasn't. You were.
probably-
So we can officially vote on this and put them in the record. So I'm looking for a motion to accept the meetings of October 25th, 2018.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, so all in favor that was here, please? I'm not a big fan of someone voting on minutes they weren't present to hear.
But you
So,
need to take it, because it's a 5-member board now, he'll need to abstain as well as me.
correct. In my mind.
Right.
I don't remember whether that was one of our meetings where we discussed, where we were deep into the Mighty Joe.
No.
No.
Okay.
It was discussion, approval, of formal notice of decision for Mighty Joe, discussion of approval of other minutes, and talking about future meetings, because Dana was getting along with her pregnancy
Right, right.
and her availability and so forth.
Yeah.
So we have the motion and a second. So ask for a vote. All in favor of accepting the minutes for October 25th as written, please say aye. Aye. And you're going to abstain?
Abstain.
Okay, 2 abstentions. Okay, then we have our last minute, same thing. March 28, 2019. Do you have a copy of them, Steve?
Yeah,
Okay.
I watched it on YouTube. I didn't hear about that meeting. I would have been here. I was
Yeah, there's
in
a,
the country. There were a lot of ins and outs associated with Dana's leaving, so I don't think there was much notice of the meeting.
well, yeah, a little turmoil, let's put it that way,
Right.
with Dana not longer with the town and,
You guys actually had an old email address for me. And
correct, and an old telephone number, I tried calling you.
So,
So, again, you were present, so we do have a majority here do I have a motion on these minutes from March 28, 2019?
One comment, Mr. Chairman. In those minutes, whoever did the minutes has Bob Carrier down as a member, and that should come off.
Oh, he was listed member of the public.
Member in attendance.
I'm sorry, the,
Members in attendance.
the draft minutes.
Okay, so we'll put that as Mr. Courier should be down under public
Right.
attendance. Okay? Anything else that anyone sees that, anyone can speak on this?
Carrier, comma, member of the public.
Okay. Anyone, okay, so do I have a motion to accept the March 28, 2019 minutes as, with the changes?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstentions? One? Steve, you're gonna abstain or you wanna vote?
well, I wasn't here. I watched it on YouTube, so you tell me. It seems to me I was technically in attendance in
I
arrears.
think you need to
And-
be at
and-
the meeting in
Well,
order to vote.
that,
An abstention is considered to vote with a majority.
okay, well, so with that said, 2 abstentions, Sherry? Okay, so that's taken care of. Now we're gonna go down to other business, and I discussed this at the last meeting, and I want to discuss it again, because one member must have not thought of it. Please, under no conditions, use reply all on any messages.
Yeah, you saw that.
All right, it can get us in some trouble down the road. And 91A, that constitutes a meeting, and that's not what we want. So I'm gonna really be on top of that and, try not to let that happen. Also, as you all saw in your email messages, that the Mighty Joe from the Superior Court, the ruling came back from the judge, and the judge ruled in our favor. We must, though, by no, they still can go to the Supreme Court.
Right.
So we can have no contact with them, either side. I know you're a part of the other side, but we can't enter the property, we can't do nothing until this is 100% resolved. We have, the board right now has been represented by counsel, and I was as I told you last time, I was at the hearing representing the board. Thank God they didn't ask me to answer any questions, because,
You would have done well.
but anyway, so the judge did rule in our favor, as you all know, and the public should know, but they do have the right now to go to the Supreme Court.
Well, I have to tell you about what I've done in the last 24 hours. My neighbor Wayne Sylvester, who you all know, walks down there regularly, knows George, and told me how all the activities going on down there. So I walked down there on my own and was quite surprised to see all the work they were doing. So I took a few pictures, actually walked down and talked to the contractor working, asked him if he had a permit handy, and he didn't, but he said they had it at the office. So I didn't make a squawk, I just wondered what they were doing, and they said, well, we're putting in septic. So I asked, well, who approved it? Was it the town approved? And he didn't know all that stuff. So anyway, I was just on my way.
Excuse me, I am bothered by having any conversation in the open and continuing meeting of this ZBA, where we are meeting as a group of 5 as the legal entity. And I think that it comes right under the topic of the do not reply all, and the land use clerk will be the gatekeeper and cut out for common information. And if this is common information that can be obtained from the code enforcement officer himself, that's the way it should be done, because I don't want to have the slightest edge of good information that seems somehow suspicious or prejudicial.
Well, I was gonna stop Mr. Baker and ask him if he was there as a member or is he there as a public?
It doesn't
As a-
matter.
But the point being is, it does matter a little bit, because he can't represent the board without a vote from the board, first of all.
Correct.
All right,
Hot
so-
tar sticks to flesh.
But, right.
Yeah.
So I guess at this
Well, I was
point,
responding to your
right,
comment.
right,
about
and I didn't know
not
where you were gonna
having-
go with this, so I gave you a little leeway.
Yeah.
But I agree with Mr. Brown. I think we'll put an end to the discussion,
It's fine with me.
but please, not again.
Okay.
All right,
Understood.
you know, it's a tough one. I understand where you're coming from. If you feel as an individual, as a, you know, someone in the neighborhood, feel that, as a public, feel that there's something, a wrong being made, then I guess there's avenues to go about that.
Yeah.
You know, phone calls to Mr. Boyer and whatever.
That's what I ended up doing. I
Yeah,
called
so-
Brian and left a message.
But when you sit on this board, sometimes you gotta say, I'd like to do something, but I really can't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's not just board, there's other boards like that too.
Yeah.
Selectmen, budget committee, even the stuff that you gotta, you know, but, we'll put an end to the discussion, because I don't wanna get into an area that we shouldn't be into.
Okay.
But I just wanted to talk about the judgment, which is common knowledge, and that they still, remind you guys that they still have they still could go for Supreme Court.
Right.
So we gotta basically keep our mouth shut and, you know, do as we have been doing. Correct?
That, my understanding is that it was a clear and direct decision on the town's behalf, and that the preparation and work that had been done by the board and the thoroughness of the minutes were a considerable help to the case.
Yes, and again, it's open to the public, this ruling. The judge, and I'm sure you all saw it, right? You all read it? So you saw where the judge didn't entertain anything other than number 3,
Right.
all right? And when that number 3 failed, in his mind, everything failed.
Right.
So he didn't entertain in his judgment any 1, 2, 4, and 5. So I don't want, as Mr. Brown stated, I don't want to go any more farther. I just wanted to get it out that, you know, that everybody should know what what came of it. And
Thank
that
you
we-
for interrupting, Larry. Appreciate your prompt response.
Any other business from any board member?
Yes. Thank the chair on his maiden voyage.
Yeah, and I did a boo-boo right off the bat.
You recovered
minor.
nicely, you got the
Pretty
report out,
minimal.
and thank you for taking the chair.
Any comment from the public? Nothing?
Not the public, but you probably don't all know that the Board of Selectmen has named me as your staff liaison, at least until we get a replacement for Dana Crossley, whose work is almost irreplaceable. What I need to tell you is that I will be mostly silent during your meetings, no matter what goes on, unless you ask me a question. So I'm here to assist you with regard to something specific in the zoning ordinance, or something that or some question that you might have on the land use statutes. And finally, until we get someone to replace Dana, I'll be the one that writes up your short notice of approvals, which has to be posted within 24 hours, and then the formal notice of decision, which is quite a bit longer, as you saw in your last couple of meetings. I'll write those as drafts for you to consider later.
Can I stop you there for a second? So when we do an approval, as we did tonight, and the next meeting's minutes is gonna be that approval, once those minutes are approved, will you be doing the filing with the registry of deed?
Well, that's a good step that I think needs to be taken. I don't know if you included it in your granting of the special exception this evening, but if you,
Mr. Brown, my brother, refresh my mind, didn't we discuss as a board last year and decide that all decisions were gonna be filed?
is it in your bylaws?
That we'll have to read.
No, I read them.
All right, so that's something we can add.
Yeah.
If we feel needed, if everybody, you know. So, all right. Do you have anything else, Mr. Woodruff?
No.
Okay. With that said,
Dana.
I gave you guys some stuff that I collected over the years on this board that might be helpful when you're thinking about something. it might, show you some case law, so it might help open up a little ideas and stuff, so please, I don't know if you're gonna use them, welcome to them. Other than that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Bruce, question, when does the SIP process kick off with the issues relative to the lake and